Okay, in order to start this, I'm going to start, to make it easy for you guys, I'm going to go back to the default configuration because some people get lost with my special UI. So I'm going to show you how to start with default, and also a lot of people are asking about how to model this. So based on your feedback, I'm going to show a little bit more about how to model this, even though we've done that in the earlier versions of Max and the earlier portions of this class. It's good for a little refresher on how to model. So let's look at a couple things. First, let's look at the UI, and then we'll go into a little bit about modeling. So when you first open Max, it should look something like this menu-wise. If you have V-Ray loaded, you'll have this V-Ray toolbar, which I think you can just close. You'll have a view cube, which you can turn on and off. I don't use it, as you've noticed from some of the earlier parts of the course. I use hotkeys for all these things, but you can use the view cube, like so. Top view, left view, back view. Okay, go back to top view and front view. If you do zoom extents, it will show you everything in your scene. If you select something and then do zoom extent selected, which is the blue one, it will go right to that object you have selected. Okay. Your toolbars are all up here. If you notice from the other parts of the course, I have my own toolbars set up there. I also have a toolbar over here, which is custom, and that is just my modifiers. So frequently used modifiers, I set up a toolbar over there. I have a video showing how to do that already. If you want to look for it, it's called something like Customize UI. Okay, right now it's in section 15, lecture 66, 2015-2016 UI modifications plus build your own custom UI. So that will apply to 2017 or 2018 as well. Okay, so you can check that lecture out if you want to make your own custom stuff. And also at the beginning of this course, way back when, there is a link to all resources files. That's lecture 7 currently in section 1. Okay, and here if you go to the resources, let's preview this. Okay, this link right here will take you to all the stuff in here, including UI files, 2014 UI files. So before 2014 was one way of doing it, and after 2014 is another way of doing it. Okay, and these are keyboards, menus, quad menus, and there's the entire UI right there. So you can load these files. You can download them and load them to get my UI and follow along exactly as I do by going to Customize User Interface, Load Custom UI Scheme, and then you can go and you can see these are the ones that are built in to Max, or you can go and load wherever you downloaded that from and click on My UI file, and it should load my keyboard, mouse, toolbars, quads, menus, colors all at once. Or you can load them individually. So what I've done here is I've gone back to default menus, but I'm using my own keyboard hotkeys. But I'll show you how to do it with keyboard hotkeys or without, so that doesn't affect you either way. One other thing is the view cube. You can use that or you can turn it off. In most of my other videos I have it turned off because I have hotkeys for all my views. I have F for front, top, T for top, Y for bottom, K for back, okay, right, R for right, L for left. Okay, so you can set up those hotkeys however you want by going to Customize User Interface. Again, you can load my mouse keyboard by going here, or my keyboard hotkeys by going here, load, and it'll be a KBDX file, and I make that downloadable for you. Or you can go to any command in all of Max, click on it, and then assign a hotkey to it. If it did this and hit assign, then that would do it. Okay? One thing to consider is when I load my new toolbar, everything basically remains in the same place except I have a new modifier toolbar over here. Some of these buttons will look different though when I'm doing things, but if you hover over them, it'll say the same thing. So like materials editor, I noticed in the new Max there's a different material editor button. It looks like this. Okay, there's a compact and a slate material editor. So if that looks different than what you've got, just hover over it and it'll say material editor, and then you'll know you're in the right place. I'm going to quickly load my toolbars so that you can see what I'm talking about. Load custom UI scheme. Let me navigate to where it is. Okay, I've got my Custom user interface all set up. Basically, the menus up here are the same. Like I said, this button looks a little different, which is fine. Now, the reason I do all this is because I want you guys to get used to a professional workflow. And if you know a professional 3D artist who uses the default UI, then I'd love to meet them, because they don't really exist. You want to start immediately customizing things as you start working in here a lot. And definitely you'll have keyboard hotkeys. And you'll probably find that you use a bunch of modifiers over and over again. So it's useful to build a little toolbar right here so you can easily get to them. Okay, and this stuff is just, I added a few things up here, but really most of the buttons are the same up here. This is just a layer toolbar, which gives me access to my layer stuff, and you can of course turn that on by doing this and hitting layers right there. So that turns it on and off. So other than that, it's pretty basic. I have the view cube turned off typically, but you can leave that on. And again, all this stuff is available for you to download. So that's the UI. Hopefully everyone's up to speed on the UI. If you want to use the default, that is totally fine. You will be able to do all the same things I'm doing, but you'll do them in a little bit different way. And you should be able to figure them out. For example, like I showed you, the hotkeys for different views will be done using the view cube up here and things like that. I'll try to make it adaptable for everyone and their workflow, but really I'm trying to show a professional workflow, specifically the professional workflow that I use. Okay, so I would recommend adapting that, and you can adjust it to your own liking as necessary. But in general, you want to modify the UI a little bit to speed things up and make things a lot more efficient. So that's that. Let's go into some review of the modeling using a newer version of the software, specifically Autodesk 3ds Max 2017.